What is up, alienARMy? I am Oqulus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And today our topic, we're going to be talking about demonic energy, how to recognize it, what is it, and most importantly, how to expel it from your experience. So this topic kind of came to me. I was guided to do this video off of an experience that I recently had, and this happened about a month ago, let's say. And I was with someone else who's very into spirituality like me, high vibrational energy, things like that. And we were doing a tarot reading. I was doing a tarot reading, and this was in a neutral territory. It wasn't a place of residence or anything like that. It was just like neutral, kind of neutral ground. So we were there, and I was giving a tarot reading. And usually me, when I give tarot readings, every single time, even this time, I always sage the cards prior towards any reading. And I make an intention and whatnot, right? So this is actually the first time that I had experienced this while giving a tarot reading, so it kind of it stuck out to me. But anyway, so we were sitting there, I was giving the reading, and everything it's going. And towards like the midway point of it, I started getting this like really unsettling feeling, like this feeling of unease, and I was just like, what's going on? Like something is just like, it felt weird, okay? It felt like I was being watched. And I'm just like, all right, you know what? I don't know if they feel it. I don't want to like say anything and maybe, potentially, like I didn't know if it was just something that I was uneasy and it was only me. I didn't want to potentially have that rub off on who I was with. So I didn't say anything, but I'm there and I'm basically like shitting bricks, and I'm like, yeah, flipping cards. Yep. Okay. And then before anything was even spoken between us, I was like, this energy might be something else that's in the reading, that's kind of infiltrating it, okay? And I didn't want to say demonic presence or demonic energy. I was just like, there might be another energy here, right? And so I'm just going through the reading, and mind you, my unease, my disquiet is like gaining momentum, okay? So I'm doing the reading, and I'm just feeling like really, really strange, okay? And lo and behold, what cards come up in the reading? 3 6s came up in that tarot reading. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's validation. If I was not sure prior to this, those 3 6s, they kind of, they swooped in, and they're like, they kind of like confirmed like what I was feeling. And so at that point then, who I was with was like, I forget what like the exact term was, but essentially, it was stated to me like something doesn't feel right here. And I was like, I was so glad you said it, because I was feeling that way as well. It just felt very off. It felt like a very dark and foreboding energy. It just felt like very, very uneasy, like someone was like watching us, and it felt like there were just like eyes all around, like just like looking, and not necessarily like doing anything, but it was just a really, really just intense foreboding, that to the point where we stopped the reading, and then we were just walking around the whole place saging and calling upon ascended masters and banishing whatever it was. And then it was like, okay, but just to kind of, that's kind of like the backstory of why I'm talking about this, because when someone is very highly sensitive to energy, where they're woke, I guess, if you want to say, that they can sense a presence, whereas let's say someone who is operating primarily in the third dimension, they're not going to really sense that, and it might be around and it might infiltrate their aura and actually do something, whereas we, as I mentioned, we're both into spirituality and energy. We both kind of sensed it, and so we were able to successfully banish whatever that was away. And so after that occurred, we were walking around saging and blah blah blah. So later on that evening, I received a message that told me that whatever, and I don't know if this is going to resonate with anyone, but I feel like it needs to be said because this is what prompted me to make this video, is that it was whatever being that was the thing with 1,000 eyes. So essentially, and I channeled that, like that was what I guess was conveyed to me, what that energy was. And essentially I just pictured like you know, a whole bunch of eyes, like kind of like it being shady in the background, just like, you know, if you have like a peephole in a wall and you're just like looking through the peephole, and like the person on the other side of the peephole, like they're kind of aware that they're being watched, but they're like, wait, how am I being watched, right? Like they don't really know. So that's kind of just like the energy that it felt like. So yeah, thing with 1,000 eyes. Okay, so that's what it was. I don't know if anyone else has experienced something like that, but either which way, I feel that this is an important topic to kind of delve into, just because I'm pretty sure that mostly everyone who's looking at a video like this on my channel is like woke also, like they're very aware of their energy and energy of others, and just energy in general, so they're able to pinpoint it. But sometimes there might be folks who are residing like predominantly in the third dimension, and it's like they might seem like they have their world turned to chaos, and they might not know why. They might just feel general unease and tension and things like that, and they might not know why. And so this is really for that type of individual, as well as the individual who is aware that there are other dimensions and things like that. So this video is going to be partly channeled. We are going to get into demons a little bit. I just wanted to throw that story out there, just because that's what compelled me to make the video. So essentially we are going to talk about what a demon is and how to recognize them and how to banish them, okay? Because I feel like I successfully banished that. And there, keep in mind that there are demonic energies of all different strengths and sizes and things like that, which we are going to get into in this video. So just please be aware of that they're not all equal. It's like you can have the strength of a 2-year-old, you can have the strength of a 20-year-old, the strength of an 80-year-old, right? If we want to compare them to humans, and they're all varying degrees. So just keep that in mind when I'm talking about these energies here, because in the fourth dimension, these demonic entities, they vary in strength, and there are different types of them and things like that. Okay, so let's get into it. So what is a demon exactly? And I am going to give just the direct definition from the Merriam-Webster online dictionary. You can look it up yourself as well if you'd like. And a demon, according to the Merriam-Webster online dictionary, is notated as an evil spirit or devil, especially one thought to possess a person or act as a tormentor in hell, a cruel, evil, or destructive person or thing, reckless mischief, devilry, a forceful, fierce, or skillful performer of a specified activity. And the origin is from the Greek daemon, which means deity or genius, and Latin demonium, which means lesser or evil spirit. Okay, so I found that so interesting how a demon is actually called a genius. So it's going to kind of go in with what we're going to be talking about here, and they are very smart, they are very clever. So this is not to say that every type of energy or entity in the fourth dimension has like malevolent intentions, but there are out there, right? Like when we're in human suits and we're observing the third dimension, there are humans with benevolent intentions, there are humans with malevolent intentions. Okay, so just think about that. In the fourth dimension, it's essentially the same as like earthlings and things like that, but you know, like in Earth there are like people, individuals walking around of different shapes and sizes, intentions, and energetic vibrations. That also goes for the fourth dimension. Okay, so when we saw how, interestingly enough, that demon came from the word genius, why would a demon be considered a genius and also a lesser or evil spirit? Would this not imply that a demon is intelligent, but also implying that a demon is lesser than benevolence? I'm going to let you decide on that one. Now, demonic energy, as it is commonly known, stems from entities which reside in the fourth dimension. This means that they can see into the third dimensional construct of reality very easily from an above perspective. So in essence, yes, there are beings which reside there that would be considered more intelligent, quote unquote, than the average unawakened human, simply from the fact that they are viewing physical reality as we know it from a higher perspective. We speak more in depth regarding this topic in other videos, which will be linked in the description box if you wish to check them out. So to paraphrase as best we can, note all of the different persons, animals, plants, insects, amoebas, etc., 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 that are dwelling within the current physical dimension that those of you who watch this video know of. And I am going to be talking a little bit strange because it's going to be coming from my notes, which I channeled. So remember, this is a totally different source. This is, I mean, it's me speaking, but it's not me speaking, you know what I mean? So, to paraphrase as best we can, note all of the different species of life that inhabit the planet Earth. There are many, right? And there's a question mark. Different species, different ideas, different organizations, different mind constructs. We could go on and on and on. The same is true of the fourth dimension. There are personas, mammals, reptiles, insects, amoebas, funguses, and also species that the human mind cannot possibly begin to even interpret. There are elves, dragons, fairies, yetis, cyclops, and so on and so forth. Now, these beings are very much real, though they exist at an energetic frequency which is out of the range of the human mind. This is why many times when they do make an appearance in the third dimensional physical realm, it is fleeting, and many such accounts are credited to being a hallucination or a delusion, in layman's terms. Even when the observer and/or participant knows in solidarity what he has witnessed and/or experienced, oftentimes he may be mocked at or fears such a reaction, so he begins to doubt the validity of his claims. We assure you right now that these occurrences are very much real, so one must always trust their instincts regarding these matters, and rest assured your knowings will be validated by those which mock you. So that's kind of interesting, that message that I received, which basically means that stay true to you, do not listen to outside interference if you have experienced anything like this. Now, with this being stated, we will continue on to our intended topic of conversation. It is necessary to mention the aforementioned, however, because we sense some seekers may resonate. Demonic energy is in most cases invisible to those who dwell in the third dimension. This is why many who are asleep at the wheel, quote unquote, are so easily manipulated without ever realizing the real culprit behind the misconstruction of their reality. They are being influenced blindly by these fourth dimensional inhabitants. A few quick examples would be an argument betwixt lovers, loss of a beloved, a medical diagnosis, a traffic jam, etc., etc. Now, we are not insinuating that all of these events are demonically orchestrated. However, when one chooses to participate in a derogatory emotional reaction regarding this said event, the demons who feed sense the taste of fear, anxiety, melancholy, etc. We will now use the analogy of a shark to better describe it for you. A shark in the ocean, swimming calmly, aimlessly, wondering when their next food source will present itself, does not target that which it does not smell. A shark may pass by a human and leave that individual unbothered, as that particular human is treading water calmly and not emitting the frequency of fear. If that same human were thrashing about in fear or bleeding, the shark's senses will indicate that a potentially weaker link is near, a quote-unquote victim, if you will. And then its instinctual apex predator nature will kick in, and we can assume that you know what will happen next. Now, we're not suggesting that sharks are malevolent. They are simply following the natural call of what they were designed to do. They desire to obtain their food in the most energetically conservative way. And when a perceived weakened state is recognized in another, they will be drawn to that source of food, rather than a source that would potentially fight back. Take this metaphor and liken it to a demon in the fourth dimension. And we are talking about quote-unquote feeders here. They are energetic predators, and when a human is neutral or strong in admittance of their energetic vibration, they will simply be left alone, as they are not an easy target for food. An individual who is thrashing about or panicking and bleeding per se is an entirely different story. It essentially becomes open season in the fourth dimensions for these entities, and they begin to swarm to this individual, as this persona is perceived instinctually as weak and therefore a good source of easy food. Now, to give you a visual, we would say that it would look like a zombie movie, which is very prevalent here in the third dimension at this time. A corpse on the ground, their flesh being consumed by the hungry living dead. Only with demonic energy, it is not flesh that they crave, but emotion, lower vibrational emotion. Much like the addiction to physical substance that can be found in the third dimension, it is also found in the fourth dimension. And these demonic entities are addicted to the taste of human fear. They swallow it greedily and occasionally fight each other over it. Some enjoy the taste of sadness, some enjoy the taste of rage, some enjoy the taste of tension, and you get the idea. This being said, some demonic energies are junkies, quote unquote, who will stop at nothing to get their next supply of a high. These entities lurk in the shadows of the mind, unseen but watching and waiting, ever tempting, ever baiting. And yes, that is something I channeled. I'm going to put the direct quote that I channeled on the screen. Some will attach to a specific individual because they are considered quote unquote easy food for the demon. These personas vibrate at a lower frequency and therefore are easily manipulated by a minor event that may have been orchestrated by an entity in the fourth dimension. We will give an example of waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Two different humans wake up and stub their toe. Human 1 shrugs it off and goes about their day as usual, pays no mind to their stubbed toe, and goes on to experience a wonderful and magnificent day. Human 2 stubs their toe, feeds that occurrence with contempt, and goes on to be stuck in traffic, late to their appointment, irritable, and then proceeds to have an increasingly difficult day. So who would you assume that a demonic entity would peg as an easier source of a food supply? Person 1 or person 2? The answer speaks for itself. As we note with the second person, they were easily swayed from their natural joyous state of being by the stubbed toe, and therefore allowed themselves to vibrate at a lower frequency than person 1, who simply shrugged it off. When a demon from the fourth dimension smells fear, anger, animosity, rage, sorrow, etc. from a third dimensional individual, their need to feed becomes exceptionally powerful, and as they are viewing the third dimension from a higher vantage point than one who dwells in the third dimension, they now see different avenues that the individual cannot. Avenues to bait said individual into excreting more detrimental emotional vibrations. They toss a slowpoke in front of this individual in line at the grocery store. They encourage an argument with a loved one. They toss irritants in the path of this person, knowing that this individual easily succumbs to trivial annoyances, and, in time, the hurdles tossed at them become increasingly detrimental and alarming in nature. We would like to point out that this is what we refer to as feeder demons. They are the worker bees working for the higher ups in the demonic society. Now, these worker bees are not necessarily malevolent in nature, but the entities that they work for very may well be. There's a hierarchy in demonic structure, okay? Can you believe that? Yes, there is. Much as there are hierarchies in the structure of like corporate America in the third dimensional realm, there's a president, a CEO, a board of directors, managers, employees, custodians, etc., etc., etc. Now the worker bees, as we call them, are not extremely powerful. Annoying, yes. Cunning, yes. But not necessarily malevolent in nature, and they may be easily swept aside by the ones who are awakened in the third dimensional plane. As we mentioned in our example, person 1 simply accepted that they stubbed their toe and moved on through their day, not allowing the energy of the stubbed toe to permeate their entire experience of that day. It really is as simple as that. Just acknowledge it, let it go, move on. And we would like to add here that the simple stubbing of one's toe may not be demonically orchestrated. It was just a random occurrence and nothing more. This is important to note so as not to blame any one circumstance on a demon. To locate a demonic source is to delve deeper. The stubbed toe is an isolated event, perhaps a trigger to some, but minor nonetheless. Now, how to spot a demonic source is to recognize themes or patterns in one's life experience. Is the stubbed toe always followed by a downward spiral? Do the same visceral reactions occur at the onslaught of the stubbed toe? Is the stubbed toe always accompanied by a sinking energetic vibration? Does the stubbed toe carry more significance in the native's experience than it theoretically should? Does the stubbed toe always translate to the native as their day going to shit? If the answer is yes to any or all of these things, likely a demonic energy is present. So how does one maneuver effectively through the stubbed toe incident in order to go about their day joyously? Simple. Acknowledge the stubbed toe and move on energetically from it. We reckon that as soon as one makes peace with the stubbed toe, it will cease its throbbing. It truly is genuine perfection. Acknowledging an unwanted circumstance defeats its power over you. Adding more energy to the unwanted experience empowers it. And empowering negative emotions, thoughts, and vibrations essentially draw more of the same to you, in turn providing an excellent food source for the demons which dwell in 4D. There are no bells and whistles with this one, okay? If one cuts off the food source of a thing, then that thing simply moves on to find another source of food. Now for the higher up demons, the solution may not be quite as simple, as they are more powerful than their worker bees. These are the energies which commonly try to possess human bodies in order to gain access to the third dimensional realm and obtain a physical body. Not all of the higher ups attempt to do this, but these can be especially frightening because they carry with them a heavy, foul, scathing energy. So did you think that person 1 got off a little too easily with that little story we just mentioned? Well, yes and no. Person 1 has the wherewithal to make himself immune to feeder demons. He recognizes them energetically and pays them no mind. However, since he is vibrating at a higher energetic level than person 2, who is easily manipulated, he now may be perceived as a threat to the higher up demonic energies, or at the very least, a much more tasty source of food. We will use the example of a grade D hamburger next to a succulent filet mignon. And I'm vegan, I don't eat animals, but that was the channeled message, so I'll show you kind of get the example there. Now, as one progresses naturally along on their journey, their vibration is going to increase from the level of person 2, the one who stubbed their toe and kind of had a funky day, to person 1 who is kind of elevated above that because he's already experienced that. Person 1 easily recognizes heavy energy as the average human individual may not. And they may also recognize demonic energy around those around them if that's what's going on, but that's a whole other topic and a whole other video, so just wanted to put that out there because it is kind of relevant. But now, person number 1 may have become targets for the higher ups of the demonic society. No longer can a worker bee infiltrate their aura. Now a general must be assigned to the task. We again are using military metaphors for ease of interpretation. The general, a higher up, has more prowess than his subordinates, and so can attempt to bait the awakened one with additional forces. The energy of a higher up is heavy, gloomy, unsettling, foreboding. Creepy is a good description because that is what they are essentially doing, creeping into the third dimensional realm. It is very, very easy to pinpoint when in the vicinity of a general. It may be present around anyone always, but most earthlings are unaware of its presence. It takes an awakened one to identify such an energy. This is why only awakened ones may be targeted by a general, at least, not a worker bee. Unlike the worker bees who can manipulate the third dimension from the fourth dimension only, like pawns on a chessboard, a general can shape-shift at will and actually have the ability to enter the third dimension through a gateway. Now, this is why we advise setting clear intentions and stating firm boundaries when working with fourth dimensional tools, such as runes, tarot cards, crystals, scrying mirrors, etc., etc., etc. Even though these are all considered neutral fourth dimensional objects, they still can be manipulated by a demonic entity in the fourth dimension, if not properly handled. A shapeshifter energy will only appear consciously to an awakened individual. As we mentioned, an immediate shift in one's energetic environment will be noticed. Sometimes it may be seen through the lens of the third eye, as a shadow, a creeping, rolling mist, or a fear-inducing image. When it is felt, it comes by with a sense of unease, heaviness, and like one is being watched. There will be a genuine feeling that someone or something else is there. A higher up demonic energy is doing just that. Watching, spying, seeing what the awakened one is up to, or also checking out when it's a good chance to creep in and inhabit a human body. Sometimes a portal may be open whilst one is asleep, in the state of astral projection, where their etheric body is not fully inside their physical body, and sometimes a portal may be open whilst performing a tarot card reading, like the little example that I gave. Any circumstance where the etheric meets and melds with the physical might provide an opportunity for a sneaky shapeshifter to slide in. Now, to banish a higher up or general demon, first be aware that you are one of the chosen few who is actually able to recognize them. So pat yourself on the back. I mean, that means your frequency is really raised, and if you're able to spot that, then props to you. Once the existence of demonic energy is acknowledged, it already loses some of its velocity by the act of being seen, as many may not be able to pinpoint such a thing. Now that the veil has been lifted and the mask has been removed, there is nothing a spy fears more than the risk of being recognized. This is counterproductive to his whole agenda. Upon recognition of the demonic presence, we will suggest remaining calm, as half the battle is already won. And by half the battle, we mean recognizing it, because as I said, not many folks can. Look at it squarely, feel it, and tell it to leave because it is unwelcome in the place that you dwell. Say to it, I see you, if you must, as there is nothing more frightening to a thing than to be seen for what it is. Now you have removed the guise it poses under. Second, we suggest calling upon an ascended master, a guardian angel, your higher self, a benevolent fifth dimensional entity of any kind. So whatever you believe in, whatever works for you. As the third dimension is easily manipulated by the fourth dimension is easily manipulated by the fifth dimension and above. Since the fifth dimension observes the fourth dimension from a higher perspective, entities residing there see avenues of expulsion that one in a physical body cannot, and thus can create a vortex of expulsion for the demon. So you can repeat these steps as many times as necessary. You sense it, you look at it, you acknowledge it, say I see you, then banish it from your experience, okay? Just whenever you feel like it, because you will know. A few other tools that we recommend are Florida water, clear quartz, smoky quartz, onyx, obsidian, amethyst, selenite, and shungite, as well as white sage. Smudging has been around for centuries and is known as an exceptionally powerful method for clearing negativity and banishing uninvited parties. Once one becomes familiar with the art of recognizing demonic energies, they have the wherewithal to recognize it before it even has a chance to infiltrate their experience. Setting intentions when waking and prior to slumbering are beneficial as well as setting intentions and boundaries within the waking life. An example would be, as I sleep tonight, I am surrounded by benevolent energy and I am safe and protected. These intentions may be used before conducting any type of activity in the third dimension, from stepping out of your home to cooking dinner. Stating an intention prior to anything is essentially giving thanks for good vibes yet to come and invokes benevolent energy to be drawn to you. This invocation creates a sphere of ethereal expectation around the individual, much like a magnet, and draws only the intended experiences, circumstances, and personas towards them. A positive or neutral expectation, no matter what the circumstance, entails a much more joyous outcome will occur than if no intention had been set at all. Now, there's much more that we could say about this topic. However, we feel that this is a good place to pause and let that information sink in. It is always our intention that those who are meant to receive messages here resonate well with them. I am Oqulus, the alien next door. That was today's esoteric topic. Peace, good vibes, and namaste. Blessed because you are.